Claude, and
Right?
since we're already talking about that, why do you think artists with such great voices get unseen a lot of the time?
Because the music industry is way more than just a voice, and that's what people don't understand. Is like everybody knows someone that can sing. There's people in every church or across the country that can sing, and have a beautiful voice. But becoming an artist is something totally different. And having the best voice doesn't necessarily mean you're a great artist. You're an artist, you have to have a story, you have to be interesting, you have to have a point of view, you have to have a look, you have to have the perfect blend of pissing people off and being able to charm people at the same time. And a lot of times, people complain that their favorite artist is not getting signed, but maybe they're boring. Or maybe they don't have enough of a story going on, or maybe they're not. Their image is incorrect. They have an amazing singer who's completely off on their image, and it's not believable. At the end of the day, the music industry is about believability. That's what sells records. And for me, my taste personally, most of the artists that I really, really, really love don't have the best voices. It's the people that I believe the most.
Wow,
that's what I mean. That's really what it boils down to. I'll take Mary J. Blige in 1994. Off pitch and crying on the record any day over the perfection of some other artists, even over Mariah Carey at some points, where it was perfect and she sounds beautiful, she looks beautiful. But I'm with Mary J. Blige. I'm crying with her. That's what makes me buy the album.
Okay. Well, Claude, I just saw that, and the last time you were here on the show, Kelly Clarkson, you were talking about developing work for her, and today on PerezHilton.com, a new song from her leaked called Mr. Know-It-All. Are you going to be involved in this new Kelly Clarkson project?
As of right now, I don't think I have any songs in the album, and it's mainly because of I wrote a bunch of songs that didn't for whatever political reason make it all the way through. That's fine. That's kind of the process. Every album is a different situation.
Yeah.
I love her. I love her voice. I don't think as of right now, I mean, something may change any day now, but as of right now, I don't think I'm a part of this project. I haven't even heard the first single yet, to be honest with you.
It literally like an hour ago leaked.
Okay, so I mean, Kelly Clarkson is one of my favorite singers. She can really sing as well and has a distinctive voice. So, I mean, if not this album, I'm sure that we'll work together again in the future. At least I hope to, because I had such a great time working with her on her last album.
Yeah, please tell us the story.
I'm gonna buy it.
Tell us the story behind "My Life Would Suck Without You," a big, huge single for her.
Her album was pretty much done. I had done another song for her album called "Don't Let Me Stop You," which wasn't on the single, but was on the album as well. And they were looking for that one kind of lead artist single. Clive Davis and her management were looking for the big first single. And Dr. Luke and Max Martin had like kind of a rough melody, a scratch of something that could possibly work. And when I met up with them in LA and they kind of played it for me, I was like, this is hot. And so I got on it and I wrote the lyrics and worked with Max. We perfected the melody and everything. And everyone loved it. It was like a no-brainer. I mean, that happened very fast. Like, they heard it, they loved it. They said it's the first single. She got to LA, she cut it pretty fast. And she's very fast in the studio.
Wow.
It was very fast. Like, she cut that in like weeks later. It was on the radio.
Damn.
They just knew.
That is.
Some of the songs where you hear it, you just knew right away. Yeah, this is the one. Let's go.
Wow. I mean, Claude, in the beginning of this interview, we talked about some of the artists that you've worked with. I mean, everyone from like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. I mean, the Whitney Houston track. You did a few tracks for Whitney Houston's last album, but let's talk about some of the more popular ones, like "I Never Left."
Okay. Yes. Like I Never Left was when I told you before that there was a batch of songs I wrote right as soon as I got the publishing deal that kind of put me on. That's one of the songs. It was an Akon track. Sent me to New York. He sent me a bunch of tracks to New York and told me to write them. And I wrote them and really hated them. And then Clive Davis called me in for a meeting. And I was like, oh God, he's gonna rip me apart.
Oh.
And he was like, Clive Davis.
No, I heard you. I just said, whoop.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, here we go. So I walked in there. He sat down. He's like, I love these songs. He's like, and I have someone in mind for it. I'm thinking it's going to be some new artist that he just put on, and I was more than grateful for that.
Yeah.
He's like, these two are definitely going to Whitney.
Wow.
I nearly lost it. I was like, you're joking, right? And the third one went to Leona. So it was like 3 out of the 4 songs that I had done got placed on like huge female artists at his label. And Whitney is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So they took that, and then I flew to Atlanta to record with her.
Wow. What was that like, Claude? Come on. Paint the picture for the audience. You go to the studio, Whitney Houston is there.
Actually, I never get starstruck. I never get starstruck when it comes to artists. Mm-hmm. That was the first time that going into it, I was nervous. Once the artist in the room, dollars have left the window. They're all people, all musicians here to do a job. But beforehand, I was kind of nervous.
Yeah.
She got in there, and she is probably the coolest person I've worked with in terms of like down to earth, chill, funny. We watched the basketball game together.
What?
Drank tea. We were eating chips and just chilling. She's the coolest ever. The coolest. And also the most supportive. Like, she didn't really know me. I hadn't had any hits out, so it wasn't like she had anything to base it off of. And she pulled me aside. She's like, listen, you're going to be huge. And she's like, you can sing, you can write, you can arrange. You're going to be huge. Watch, mark my words, and I'm happy to be with you. And every single time I've seen her since then, even though like I Never Left wasn't even a massive single, I saw her about a few months later, and then a year after that. Every time I've seen her, it's been like after another huge single has come out. And she always pulls me aside and like shows me love and keeps giving me more advice and hugging me and saying, I knew you, I told you. And so she's always been supportive, even through the when she was doing interviews for that album, like promoting that album. She always said my name and said that she believed in me and that I was going to be big. And that's more than she had to do. She's Whitney Houston, so I always have a special place in my heart for her, for just like kind of being a mentor to me.
What kind of advice did Whitney Houston give you? What did she say? Like, what was the best advice that she's given you? That's incredible.
She told me to always keep it about the music and make sure that I love what I was doing. And as long as the song was something that I loved, there'd always be a place for me. She told me that. And she told me that as I get bigger, people are going to want to attach themselves to me because that's the nature of the game. But to be true to people that were real with me at the very beginning, and I'll be fine.
Wow.
And I've done that. And it's everything she said was right. And I listened to her, and it's true.
I mean, a lot of people want to know. I mean, you got to work with Whitney most recently. So is the voice still there? You know, that's the big question. A lot of people are saying her voice is not what it was, but is the voice, the heart of what we fell in love with, still there?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to tell you why I'm going to say yes. And it's important that people understand this as well, because I think there's a lot of criticism of her voice without a lot of understanding behind who she is as an artist and what drives her as an artist. We as fans expect a lot of the people that, especially, I'm going to be really honest with you, black people as fans expect a lot and are extremely hard on our own. Extremely hard on our own. And they don't take into account that people are human. And despite all this you've heard, like the marriage or the drug, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that she's also a woman who goes through changes, and her voice changes. If you listen to Dionne Warwick, who's her relative, her voice has gotten lower and so is her mother's, so is Aretha Franklin's. That's a big part of why her voice is not the soprano you heard in 1985. That's physically impossible. It's impossible. The other thing is that Whitney Houston, even though she was an amazing singer, was really at heart a church girl who loves to sing. Much more than a professional who's worried about hitting every perfect note that she wants your standing ovation. So at the end of the day, the song has to mean something to her for her to even sing it. It has to be some kind of testimony to her. So I figured this out when I worked with her right away, was that she loves to sing more than anything. If you give her a microphone and a song she loves, she doesn't worry about whether she's hitting all the notes for you. She's getting something out of herself, almost like therapy for herself. So yes, her voice is a little different, but when she's into a song and she believes it, she nails the song all the time. Wow. And that's what I wish people understood about her, was that we're looking for this ghost of Whitney Houston 1992, we're not even who we were in 1992.
No, not at all.
I don't think half of us want to be who we were back then or a few years ago, but she is a woman who loves to sing and will sing songs that she believes in. And if you meet her or you see her live, you get that from her. That's the energy you get from her, that she's having a blast and she's sharing with you an experience. It's much more than just watch me hit a high note and razzle dazzle you. It's much more of an experience of like, I'm pouring my soul out to you and I'm getting the energy back that you're giving me. And if you understand that, you're not as hard on her, and you also understand that she is the ultimate musician.
Wow.
Completely different experience.
Of the songs you recorded with her, did she have a favorite?
She loved Like I Never Left the most. Yeah.
That's a great
But
song.
then, you know what, afterwards, when we first did, put your hands up, 15 minutes about the lovers, for the lovers. She wasn't sure about when we first did it, but by the time I finished vocal producing it, she was dancing around the studio. She loved it. So at that point, she really had trust in me, and felt like,
you know,
it's been great.
Speaking of the greats you worked with, another song you wrote, Michael Jackson's,
Hold My Hand.
Yes, Hold My Hand. What was that like? Michael Jackson recorded your song. Michael Jackson's.
I know. I still don't believe that to this day. That's the kind of thing that I kind of pretend didn't happen because it's unreal. That song I wrote for Whitney Houston, actually.
Wow.
It was during sessions I was with Akon writing for Whitney Houston, and I was getting ready to jump on a plane and wrote it like in an hour and a half and left. And then Akon called me when he got back and heard it and was like,
wow.
I'm keeping it for myself. So he cut it. And there's a version of him doing it by himself. There's my version, it's the original demo for Whitney. And there's his version that he cut, and then he went and played it for Michael Jackson in Vegas. And Michael said, I don't want that. So it became a duet. And then what happened was that was done in 07. So like late 07, 08, and then it all got stalled because he was going to do the show. And then he was going to put out an album along with the show. And then, of course, unfortunately, he passed away. And then there was, of course, the debate over this date where how they're going to use it. Would it be in the This It movie, or would it be... I think it was originally going to be part of his tour. He was going to perform it in his show at the O2 Arena.
Okay.
So it ended up actually finally coming out on this Michael album, but it was intended for an album way before, or even for his to be incorporated in his live show in London. So,
wow. I mean, I'm still dumbfounded that list of people that you worked with, but especially Michael Jackson, who's one of the, if not the greatest entertainer that ever lived. But other artists that you've worked with, I mean, first of all, Toni Braxton, one of my favorite tracks you did for her, I Hate Love. Can you tell us the story behind that song?
Okay, I wrote I Hate Love with Stargate. For Toni Braxton, she loved it. She cut it. That's just one of those things where, like, the label picks songs. They pick, like, 10 songs from an album, and for some strange reason, it doesn't make the cut. You don't really know why. I have no explanation for why that didn't make the album. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever done.
Wow.
And it's one of those songs where, like, you know, for me as a writer, you write songs and sometimes you're not sure it's going to fit the artist. Other times, you know that a record is perfect for that artist. And it was a perfect fit. The key, the title, the theme, melodies were all perfect Tony. I will never understand why it actually didn't become what I thought it should have been.
Yeah.
But that's one of the experiences where I'm glad that it had a life beyond that on YouTube. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And of course, we've talked before about your work with Christina Aguilera. I mean, her last album. I know a lot of people have asked you, it didn't do well. They asked you why do you think it didn't do well? I'm not gonna go into that. Let's talk about the future with Christina Aguilera and your work with her. Can we look forward to some work with her in the future?
I think so. I mean, she's getting ready to record right now.
Okay.
And she's in a great place. She's doing the show. She's doing The Voice again.
Yes.
And she's in a place where she wants to do like a real kind of stripped down kind of organic album, like stripped album.
Okay.
I would love to do more songs like that with her. So we talk all the time. She's a good friend of mine. So if we can get our schedules together, then absolutely we can. I think it's going to happen. I'm just not sure when yet. I don't have a date.